Hi, this is Cheryl St.Pierre, and in this video we are going to make these bead weave leaf earrings, and it's actually a weaving hack that I came up with, so to tune in and find out how I pulled this off, and I'll show you my little trick, and let's go from there. So right now, I'm going to give you, I'm going to back this off so you can do your snapshot of this. Get this in. And for supplies for this project, we need 60 12/0 uniform style beads, seed beads that is. Now, in the video, I say 11/0. When I went and double checked, I found they were 12/0, which is actually 2 millimeters, and they need to be of uniform size. Now, this link will work in the description below the video. Of course, you can't click on it here. And I wanted to get, because I live in Canada, I wanted to get the link for you from Amazon, where I got my beads, but I couldn't get the link for the US because it's treating me differently now. They've got something in there. They can tell I'm from Canada, and they'll only show me stuff that ships to Canada. So I don't know if the US has it or not. I couldn't find it. So what I recommend you do is search in whatever part of the world you are. If you've got Amazon, if you search Bala&Fillic size uniform 12/0 glass seed beads first, then you can maybe possibly find the same kit I got. Otherwise, I would just type in size uniform 12/0 glass seed beads, because that's what you want. You know, a lot of them say almost uniform. That's probably good enough, but it definitely needs to have that classification or it won't work for you, because your beads need to be of a precise size. Okay, does that make sense? You could always try hand picking out of your beads ones that look similar in size, and it probably would work too, but the measurements would be off. So, and it's kind of measurement specific. So hopefully, delicate beads, if they got the 12/0, that would work. My yucca beads as well. So anyways, from there, let's go on. You're going to need 4 7-inch pieces, which is 17.5 centimeters of 20 gauge wire, which is 0.81 millimeters. And I'm using raw copper, dead soft. And you will need 2 4-foot pieces, which is 120 centimeters of 20 gauge. And I forgot to write down where to bend them. I was going to do that for metric. I think I figured it out in my head. You're bending it at 1.5 feet. So 1.5 feet is 45 centimeters. I do remember saying that. Okay, so and then you're going to need your 2 ear wires of choice. And then for tools, round nose pliers, chain nose pliers, flush cutters and snips, rulers. I recommend with inches and metric. Hopefully see-through makes it easier to measure out beads. And I do part of it where the first one I didn't use permanent marker, but I recommend using a permanent marker. So I also recommend watching the whole video first before you attempt to make it, because I make a few changes and adjustments on the way. And you know what? This is, and it's really silly because I made prototypes and still, you know, you keep making changes on the way. This is, trust me, I've been playing with design and measurements, and put a lot of work into this video. You wouldn't believe how many hours I have spent preparing just for this video, but it still is never enough when I get down to it. So sometimes I get too complicated for my own good. Anyway, so if you enjoy this video, please press like. Please consider joining my memberships to help support my channel. And thank you for joining me. So let's move on and start making these earrings. Okay, so we're going to start with the weaving, and we're going to do both earrings in alternating each step. I think is the best way to make these earrings. So I want you to take, this is for the first earring, 2 of your 7-inch pieces of 20 gauge and 1 of your 4 feet of 28 gauge. And I want you to measure 1.5 feet of on your, how should I say this? When we start our weaving, we're going to have a tail of 1.5 feet, which is 45 centimeters for those in metric. And then I want you to start weaving 2.5, approximately, it doesn't have to be exact, approximately 2.5 inches from the end of the right end of your 20 gauge wire, and just do 1 wrap like that, and that's just to make our anchor. And then we're going to lasso in the next wire, and then I like them slightly different in length. It just makes it easier to get the wire in between. And now I've got this over top, and I'm just over top, and I have my tail on the upper part, holding it down and wrapping up and coming through the middle. Now that's got the 2 pieces lassoed together, so it's just showing 2 short wrap. On the bottom it probably has just 1 straight line. Okay, so now we're going to start the 3/4 weave, and see, we're on top, we came up from the bottom, and now we're going to wrap all the way up the bottom and up on top, and we're going 3/4 of the way down, and then going down in the middle to go down to the bottom. And that's just, and I'm just going to cinch that up. Okay, I think I'm going to come in a little closer. Might make it easier for you to see. Okay, is that better? Maybe I should come even closer. There. Now, so we have it going down, and that's usually where I end the cycle of the program. Pattern's the word I'm looking for. Okay, so I'm going, this has gone down, and we always go between the 2 wires, and next time we're going to go up, and we always go this way. So now I'm too close to show the direction. We're always going like this, up from the bottom, then down this way, this way, this way. Okay, so we went down. Now this is a different way that I'm teaching how to do this weave, and I find that when I weave, well, hang on here, what did I do? Okay, I was down. Now I'm going 3/4 of the way down like that, and now I'm going up. So you're alternating between up and down, and as long as you can keep that straight in your head, it's going to keep it more easier to keep track of, I guess is the best thing I can say. There, it's not going there. Okay, my hands make it blurry because my hands are going up and down, and the camera's having a hard time keeping it in focus. So maybe I should back off just a little bit. See if that helps. Okay, so now I'm coming, it went down, so now I'm going around, and I'm coming up. I'm going around, and I'm going down. I'm going around, and I'm coming up. going around and I'm coming down. And when you go down, that is the end of the pattern. And I usually like to do about 5, maximum of 5 patterns. And I always finish going down, because that way if I have to set it down, then I can pick it up, say my tail is on top and it's going down, and then all I have to do is just up, down, up, down. So that's 2, up, down, up, down, up. I think that's 5 complete cycles of the pattern. And then I cinch it up together. So there. Now I've given you 2.5 feet of weaving wire. You want to cinch it up as tight as you can, consistently. And I recommend just weaving until you got like 5 inches left, or until it becomes uncomfortable, because I got it to be pretty exacting as to how much weaving you need. Yeah, do as much as you can. I think it's like 1 3/4 inches. I'll measure mine when I am done. So I want you to do that for this as well as for the other earring. So do both of them. And but if you check back in a second, I will give you the measurement of how long the weaving is. Okay, so I've woven one of them so far, and I did the measurements. And just so you know, in case I didn't mention it metric before, the 2.5 inches is 7.5 centimeters. That's where you want to start. And this weaving, I have a 4-inch tail left. That's where my comfort level decreased, and I don't have much work here. I don't know if I actually did the 2.5 inches, but I think it moves when you cinch it up. Let's see, where am I? It is exactly 2.5 inches. Okay, so you could even go 3 inches up to give yourself a little bit more room, but you want to weave as much as you can till you run out. And this ended up being 1 3/4 inches long, and I'm just gonna measure it in centimeters, and it's 4.5 centimeters long. Okay, so 45 millimeters approximately is what it worked out to be. Yeah, and I just, as soon as the tail starts getting uncomfortable, that's when you quit. I've got it pretty good. When it wraps around the leaf, it actually isn't quite, it just goes around there and ends up with a little bit not done. So you're not doing too much. Yeah, you might want to go 3 inches. Let's just do that. Let's start at 3 inches. 3 inches would be 5, 6. Oh, 3. So I did do 3 inches in centimeters. 3 inches this way is 7.5 centimeters. I don't know where my math was when I did that. Okay, so I'm just pulling this carefully there. I think that's going to give me a little bit more working room when I finish off the leaf. And I really want the space too to make the loop, because you do need it. You end up snipping off quite a bit, but I figure we got enough leeway to do that. So start off at 3 inches, and I will recommend at the beginning to watch the whole thing. I'll actually mention that at the beginning, just so you know, because, yeah, bloopers happen. Anyways, so I'm going to go on and weave my second piece, and I'll be back. Okay, so I've got the second one done, and the next step is to snip off these short tails at the end here. We don't snip off the long one, because that's what we're going to weave the other part of the leaf with. So just snip it off as close as you can. Crimp it in. There. And the same with the other one. Just the short tail. Okay. Okay, so the next step, actually, sorry, I'm ahead of myself. The next step is not the beads. The next step is doing the swirls at the bottom of the earring. Now, this was my prototypes, and you know, it kind of looks like that could be the top of the earring. If you really wanted to, you could do it that way, but it's intended for that to be the bottom of the earring, and then the hook, it's going to hang at an angle, I believe, once it's on the ear wire. And yeah, okay, so you just want to have the tail out of your way, and I dropped my one. I just have to quickly go pick it up. They'll do that to you because they're going to bump each other and fight each other. So you want them both upwards. So you should pick whatever's your best side of the weaving. Mine turned out pretty good. Yours, I mean, every time it's different, right? So one we're swirling to the right, and the other one we're swirling to the left. So it's actually easier to hold it up when you're, well, this one's to the left. So you just got to keep your mind. You might want to start just by bending one to that way, and then the other this opposite way. There. Okay. So I keep them straight, and then what you could do, so you know what's the top part and don't mess yourself up, you could bend that end upwards, because that's what I ended up doing several attempts to make the right earring, because I kept bending it the wrong way. It flips over, and so these are just little precautions. So that means that's the top. This means it's bending, the loop is bending that way. This means, see, it's the top and it's bending that way. Okay, so now we shouldn't mess up. Just got to think of little tricks to keep it the way you want it. Okay, so I'm supporting the weave because we're really not wanting to bend the weave, and we want a nice little loop. And it's got some of the weave in there, but that's okay, because that's inevitable. Okay. And it usually goes with one on top and one on the bottom. And that's okay, because it gives, when it does that, it gives a nice look. I like it like that. So I'm hoping I can get the next one to do the same thing. So when this is the top, the wires go above the weave. So I just wanted to point that out. Not below the weave, but above the weave. So this is the top. So these two wires are going to go above the weave. So I'm not comfortable bending it that way, so I'm going to bend it from the bottom because I'm right-handed, but I'm going to support it. Well, it's going to end up flipping over anyway, so I can never prepare what my brain is going to do. It tricks me all the time. And now you just want to make sure that they're similar in size. Whichever one's bigger, make it smaller. And then push it together. We don't want to space this way. We want it together. Okay. Are they similar? I think that's good. Okay. Whew. That is the most crucial part of the earrings. You don't get that right, and you end up starting all over. And all that weaving was wasted then. Okay, so now I wanted to talk about the beads I got. I'm pretty sure these are 11/0 beads. They're not the Delica brand or Mayuka brand. I got them off of Amazon, but I'm Amazon Canada, so I don't know if you can get it in the US. I will look for the link. It comes in a package of, hang on, I'm going to go get the package. Okay, I'm going to back off a little bit. Whoops. There, it's as far away as I can get. It's just a little plastic package. They all come in Ziploc bags, which is nice because I do not like seed beads in this type of style of container. So the bags being in there is perfect for me. It comes with some nice needles because I really bought this to do bracelet making on my beading loom with my granddaughter. But these work perfect for this because I had some different beads I wanted to use, but they wouldn't fit. They wouldn't fit on my wire, and these ones do. These are awesome. And I'm using the beads to do measurement of the weave. It's actually a faux weave. So you're going to love this design because for those of you that look at everybody that have done this weave, you know, this style of weave, it's challenging. So I found a way doing this. It's a cheat. And I figured I'd pass it on to you. And I just figured it out this week. So yeah, mind you, this video is not going to show for another 3 weeks because I'm trying to work in advance because of my move. But yeah, this is going to be so cool. This is not actually weaving, but I pushed it down in the center. And even when I tried to discerningly look at it, it still looks like weaving. So awesome. Okay. So these, I'm pretty sure are 11/0. I will, when I send the link, it'll show what it is exactly. And hopefully they have it in the US for all of you people that are in the US. And, or, you know, then you just copy and paste the name of it. And wherever you live in the world, if you've got Amazon, you can see if you can access these exact beads. Because here's the company. Should have done that. Bala&Fillic. These aren't as expensive as my Yucca and what's the other name? I said it earlier. Anyways, they're really good quality. So I'm impressed with them. They've only got, I think, the one kit that's like this. And yeah, so I will share that with you. And by the way, I do not make any money off of that. I'm just sharing you that because I really like them. And so from this point on, now, I know I talk too much. I like the way that's going. Okay, I'm just trying to figure out the best way to put the weaving wire. Okay, we want the weaving wire to start. That's the top. Okay. Anyways, so I will think on that later. So the top wire is to go to the center. So remember how I said one's on top and one's on bottom? The top wire goes to the center. And we want to put 12. Oh yeah, okay, so this is going to work perfect. Okay, I know what I'm doing there. Okay, so we want 12 on there, and then we want 18 on this one. But don't put these ones on yet. We're going to put our 12 on, and then we have to do a measurement. So I'm just going to throw... I don't want to waste all your time. Okay, so like that. We really don't want to push the beads over the weave. That's, I mean, it tends to go over a little bit, but that's not my intent. I want it to start at the end of the weave. Okay, like that. So go ahead, put 12 on. Okay, so I'm going to correct that. It is going to end up, oh, I dumped my beads. It is going to end up going over the weave with the beads, because they're going to go down to where the join up is. And now I got to put these beads back on. Okay, so I've got them back on. Now I need you to take your ruler and measure from the bottom of the bead to actually, we're gonna do it. I'm thinking I did 1 inch, but I'm not sure if that was accurate. Hang on. It is accurate. Okay, so it's 1 inch from the bottom of the beads to where I need you to bend it. So it's 25 millimeters, 1 inch. And if you didn't want to do it from the bottom, you could measure from the top bead, and it's 7 millimeters. But I just found it easier to do from the bottom and 25 because it's a big spot on the ruler. And then I just want you to bend it. Now the beads can't come off. I'm pretty sure they can't. Only can. Okay. They won't come off as easily though. And we're going to take that and make a loop. So you're going to need your round nose pliers next. So we're going to grab it from the top part, not the bottom part. Okay, and make the loop for the earring. Now, this can be challenging because the wires get in your way. Just do the best you can. And then wrap the bead. There we go. Wrap it about 2.5 times around. And cinch it up close, because that we want it to not take up. See, we need, man, these beads are really moving on me. This is difficult. This is a little difficult off camera. It's being much more difficult on camera. Okay. There we go. I think we got it. So I've got it 2 wraps. So I'm going to go in the back. Well, I'm just going to snip it off now. I've got 2 wraps. Let's be happy with that. Okay, because we need this space. We need this space here, because as soon as we start wrapping, these beads are going to start moving up because it uses up space to do the wrapping of the copper in between. So that took a lot for me to figure out how much space we needed. Okay, so now we need 18 on this one. But before we close that up, I want you to take your weaving wire now and bring it down between the two wires, so it's here and then back. Then it's ready to do the weaving that comes after we get our beads on. So now we're going to put 18 beads on this side. Okay, so now I've got 18 beads on this side. Now you might have wanted to do the other earring with the measurement and the wrapping, but it really shouldn't affect your design. The next step, you need to do one right after the other for sure. Okay, so now we're going to round this out so it looks like half a leaf, and we want to try and get as much space here. Let's zoom in a little bit. We want to get as much space here as we have over here. So you need to have this pushed down so you can, you know, kind of see where it is at. And you gotta have these beads in place too. And then get it to look. So it's about there. Every time I do it, it seems to turn out a little bit different. Okay, I'm thinking what happened is the bottom moved on me a little bit, because I don't think I'm supposed to have that much space there. So we need because I didn't want it that big around either. Okay, yes, because I forgot. I'm rounding this a little bit to give it a bit of attitude, which leaves usually have. Okay, that seems to make a difference. Makes a huge difference. Okay. There. Okay. So now I've got it the way I want it. And you know, it might be a good idea to take a permanent marker from the bottom where the beads are and mark the top measurement, and that way you can make sure the beads go back to where it was so that it works out. I should have thought of that before. And wrap around once, just once, over top of the other wrapping, and then snip it as close as you can. And we don't have to worry about the things sticking out because the weave is going to go over top of that when we're done. Or, I mean, this weaving will, okay? So, at this point, I would say, now do this side, this earring the same way, and try to get it similar in shape. And remember, it's important to have this bent a little bit. And then we can manipulate them to... look good. Okay, so I'm going to go get a permanent marker, and then we'll do that step with the second one. Okay, so I've got my second earring, I've got a permanent marker, and so you've got the wires bent, and again we have one on top and one in the middle, and the one on top is what's being pulled into the center. And then we're taking the weaving wire and bringing it between the two and pulling it back. And then the next step is to put the beads on the center. You need 12 of them, and we're gonna I'm going to have it so that we want to push that down tight. We want it so that maybe that one bead goes in there over top of the weave. Let's see. Let's see what happens. That's why I do it off camera. because it takes so long. Yes, so it's going to go over the weave in between the two wires. I'm just going to straighten that out like that. Okay, so go ahead, put your 12. Well, I'm going to mark that starting point right. No, I'm going to put all 12 on and see what happens. Okay, I'll be back with 12. Okay, so I have the 12 beads on, and now I've got them into place where I think they should be. And I'm going to put a mark on the wire. We're not measuring from the mark. That's just because I want to visually see where they were. So the mark is right below, as close as I could get to the bead. So when the beads go up, and this is red marker, you could use black marker too. I just want enough that I can visually see that mark. And then it'll wear off eventually on its own. Red doesn't seem to stand out very much. So it was what I had on hand, but I'm thinking it's a good choice anyways. So from that point, now that we know the beads are there, I am going to take my ruler and measure. I want it straight right now. 1 inch. Just 2.5 centimeters. If you want to measure it from up here, it was 7 millimeters. Okay. Trying to be precise here. There. And I think the beads moved because I spread these out further when I made the loop. I'll try not to do that this time, but you'll have to bear with me with my making the loop. Okay. Didn't go as tight as I wanted. I'm going to do that a little bit, tighten it up a little bit more. There. Okay. It's awkward, even not being on camera, it's awkward. So you'll have to be forgiving of not being in focus. Okay. I think yeah, being really awkward. Okay, now I'm going to snip it and then crimp it up as much as possible. I mean, cinch it up, crimp that down. There, and now I'm making the loop flat again. Okay, there we go. So the top is where the beads go on top of the weave, because the weave is actually starting from the bottom and going around to the top, and it gives a more 3D effect that way. And the beads are sitting where they're supposed to be at this point. So now we know how much space we want. For this one, it will be that. And I'm going to just quickly measure that for, just for your sake. Millimeters is the way to go with a tiny measurement like this. I'll switch it from the other end. I think it's about, yeah, it's about 5 millimeters. Okay, now I'm going to put 18 beads on this side. Okay, so I have the 18 beads on now. And then, because I'm right-handed, I am going to do it upside down, just because I can work better this way. So I'm flipping it upside down. Got the beads where we want them. Pretty sure on that. Whoops. No, they moved on me. Okay, got those beads. That's the distance we want to match up on here. Okay, so we want this bent a little bit. We want it to look very similar to this earring in shape. And we want it to have about that much space. So I'm bending it here using tension. Okay. Now, because this is upside down, I actually want this on this side of the loop. So I might as well get that ready. Similar in shape. That looks pretty close in shape here. And I just need to then put it so we have enough space left over there. That looks pretty good. Okay, and now I'm going to wrap around. Remember, I've got it at the bottom. Wrap around once. So this is the other side. And then I'm going to snip it off right there. This is the right side now. Snip that. Whew. Okay. Well, now the next step is the weave. Okay. So this is the upper part. Remember, the weave's always at the bottom. So we're gonna do the weaving from the upper part, and then we're gonna start with just moving the weaving wire in the middle. We want to start at the second bead in the middle, and it's gonna look funny from the bottom, but that's okay. That's okay. So it's going to be there, wrapping around, squish it together. Okay, you want it to stay between those two beads. And then if we had the mark on this one, we would want that bead, we want to push it down till we can still see that mark, that it's touching the mark that we made with the marker. Okay, so from now on, up until the end, we're going to be wrapping around each bead in the middle, but every other bead on the outside, because this side's bigger, and we're using the beads for two things. It's helping us with the measurement, and it's helping us with doing our wrap sheet. I don't know what else to call it. Okay, so I'm going to go between the two beads. So I'm between the two beads of the first two beads, pushing it down where I want to be. It's got to be, we want to keep the tension tight, and then go to the next one there. And we're just wrapping around. We're not really weaving. And then you push it down each time, keep the beads in place. Now here we're going on with two beads in between, and one bead in between. And at that point, and I've got it tight, tension tight, push the beads down again. And the same thing again. Two beads, one bead. So in the middle, we're going to have two beads at the bottom and 2 beads at the top that aren't, you know, it's not going to be every bead there, but all the middle ones, it's every single bead. So we want to keep it tight. We want the wire to go in there between the 2 beads nice and tight, and you just keep doing that. Pushing the beads down. It's actually not that hard to do once you get the rhythm going. I'm just trying to show you everything, so that's what slows me down. Now I'm going to push the beads down again because they moved on me. We've got to make sure we have enough room. And see, and it's going to finish off like that. Here. Ended up with a little bit extra room here. And we don't want those beads to get in our way. So now, to finish off the weaving wire, I'm now going to wrap a few times around there. That'll, in hopes that'll hold the beads down. Okay, so that, do you know what I'm saying? So I'm putting it so that there's a little bit extra there without going in and out. This is there. And then I'm going to snip that off. We got lots of extra wire here. We didn't need 1.5 feet there, but let's see, how much do I have left? I got about 8 inches. So it could have been shortened a couple of inches. If you're working with sterling silver, that's where you could save a little bit. But I would definitely recommend practicing this technique with copper before you work with the silver. Okay, so next thing is to do the same thing with your other one. Okay. So we're going to start, we've got the weaving wire here. We're going to start and work on the second bead. And this one, I definitely have my mark there, so I know the beads are sitting where they're supposed to be sitting. And I went on top of that, and I'm coming down under and doing 2 beads and 2 beads. Then 1 bead and 2 beads. And I'm holding my tension. 1 bead, 2 beads, 1 bead, 2 beads, 1 bead. And I'm going to take this right now, take a bit of a break, push the beads down. Okay. So now I'm doing 2 beads, 1 bead, 2 beads. Whoops, it slid on me. 1 bead, and again, I'm going to push the beads down. Okay. 2 beads, 1 bead. Got to make sure I have enough wire there because now it's pulling it. Because we've got the corner. The corner can be tricky. You got to get hold the beads to keep so you get the right amount of wire. Okay. Did I wrap twice? Not sure. I think I've got 1 too many beads here, maybe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You know what? I'm going to unwrap. I wrapped twice under the same bead. And it's an easy fix. So you just unwrap it, and then there. It could have jumped over, which it does happen from time to time. And push that up again. There. And now I'm going to wrap that around. Hopefully I was in view because I was focusing so hard on getting it. Okay. There. Okay. So now I'm going to snip that off. Okay. Now hopefully they turned out fairly similar in shape. This one's a little bit bigger. Or is it? It's pretty close. Okay. Now, the next thing is to shape the other part of your leaf. But, no, I'm going to do that part now. So I'm going to round this. And then it's going to go over top. I'm just going to move my camera. I think my camera was angling, showing me, so I'd be think I'm in camera, but I'm not. Okay, so you want it to have a smooth look there. Okay, like that. I mean, if you want it to be jet out a little bit more, that's your decision. But as long as the two are the same, that's where you're at. Oh, look, I got lots of weaving there. So maybe there we go. So you want to cover all that wrapping we did. Have it around like that. Now I'm not going to snip it yet because I want to do the other one, because just in case I mess up, I can undo it and still make it larger or smaller. Easier to make it smaller, to tell you the truth. Okay, so that one looks good. Now, I did that for the right. I'm doing this one upside down so that I can do it from the same way and visually be the same. Okay, so because we're at the opposite side, we're going to start with a weave on top. This is the bottom, and then we're going to end up with it on this side, which is the top. So I'm going to try and make the same type of shape. This is where you got to be a little bit artsy. Okay. You want it to have the same type of air space too. Okay, I think I have it a little bit more out here. So you're just going back and forth, comparing the two. Don't rush. Take your time. And I think that's it. Let's see how they look. There. Okay, I think I'm happy with that. I'm just going to push my beads down. They're rising up. See if I can get the weave to push down on them. Okay, and now I'm going to, and I did have more weave in this one. I must have wove further, longer. I think I did 1.5 inches on the other one. And then I'm going to, I might have snipped it off too short. I think I did. Don't want to wreck the weave there, so I got to be careful. I want that nice and tight to hold everything in place. Okay. Happy with that. I'm not going to trim, I'm not going to snip this one off as short. And then I'm going to crimp that in nice and tight, making sure the beads are in place. They're not bad. And how do they look? Okay, so I can see that it's wider here than here. So we can still manipulate that a little bit. I'm going to just push it out here. And I can push this one in a little bit. There they are. Okay, next step is ear wires. Okay, I just thought I missed one step here. So the next step is, and this helps tighten up your wire, is we push down the middle. And it gives the optical illusion, because it joins the two wires together, and it gives the optical illusion that it's an actual true weave. And if you find that your weave is a little bit sticking out, you can tighten it up just by doing this. So I think I've got too much curve here. I think I gave myself 1 inch, might be just a smidge too long. Okay, so that one's done. Do the same for this one. Of course, you want to be on the good side and pushing down. And there. Okay. So again, I think I was going out of camera, but I'm just using my thumbnail and pushing it in the center, following the curve. And then that just tightens everything up, and it gives an optical illusion of being woven. Okay. So now the ear wires are on. Oh, gotta redo this one. Put it on backwards. And I'm just going to have it dangle, and then I'm going to flip it up so that you can see the angle. It actually hangs like that. Okay, so this loop at the bottom, you can use these earrings just as they are like this, or you can utilize that loop and have a little dangle at the bottom. That would be your choice. I think they'd look lovely both ways. So there you go, all done. Thank you for joining me in this tutorial. I am working on making a slightly different version of the leaf with a larger gauge wire and larger beads to make a pendant that would match, have a slightly different shape, but that's okay. And then you can have a set. So hopefully I succeed with that and move on from there. And Joyce, thank you for your suggestion of doing both types of I put a vote on my Facebook, and some of my followers see me on Facebook and they comment and say, I'd like you to do this. Could you do tutorials of both versions? And thank you, Joyce. It's trying to be done because of your request. So I don't mind you guys making those requests on my Facebook. I don't want to friend everybody on my Facebook because I'd have way too many friends. But you can always follow me. Click the follow, and then you can comment, because I do make them public, that you can comment on my jewelry making stuff for sure. I only have one Facebook channel, page, so it's my personal as well as my work, but I mainly use it for my work, and you are welcome to follow me there. Okay, thank you for joining me in this video. If you like it, please subscribe, consider joining a membership like my retired videos. It helps me maintain my my channel, and I appreciate all of you guys commenting, because every time you make a comment, it helps promote my videos as well. So all the support you can give me, I appreciate it. Thank you. And God bless. Take care of yourselves. And we'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.